Welcome, welcome, welcome to our special Christmas holiday edition of the podcast Pediatricians from high atop Caesar Rodney Square in beautiful downtown Wilmington, Delaware. I'm Rob Walter.
So seasonal down there, isn't it, Rob?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
Do you see the people skating in the new skating rink?
You mean the little people?
The little people.
Yes.
So, fresh off a rather serious podcast that hopefully some of you listened to, we needed to laugh.
Yeah.
Right, Matt? Sometimes you just got to laugh.
It's not usually a problem when I'm with you. Maybe not why you think.
So, as I mentioned before, I often will make a pile of weird things that I read about, since I'm kind of a news hound, and wait and then spring them on Matt. So that's what this is about. So if you want to hear some serious talk about medical things,
this wouldn't be the episode for you.
Not at all. And we're bringing back one snack because we need a snack for this. So I brought back some Kate's Bake Shop from Southampton, Long Island, New York. Delicious chocolate chip cookies.
Nice.
Have one of those, Matt.
Nice. Oops. Bang it in the
Have one of those, Matt. They do make vegan. Ugh. And that's what we said. Ugh.
I had a mom very graciously drop off a bunch of what I think are cupcakes, but they kind of look like cupcake muffins the other day when I'd seen her son, one of my very favorite families. And as I ate these things, and I will admit I ate quite a few of them because they were tasty, I actually had no idea what was in them, but they were pretty good.
Were
and
they?
I'm sure that they were also healthy. So there you go.
I saw one of my comedy heroes, Jerry Seinfeld, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
Nice town, never been there. But they did a whole thing about gluten-free. It was basically like, there's a reason why there's gluten in things that you like. Because when you take the gluten out, they don't taste very good.
Oh, my.
It was funny.
All due respect and sympathy
to the vegans of the world, yes.
And to the celiac sufferers out there.
No, but I do think when people stop eating sugar for a long time, then they don't miss it. And when they have sugary foods, it tastes disgusting to them. So you could change your taste buds. But these cookies are really good. All right, Matt, these are random things. So here's one I got from Time magazines, that people still read magazines. The percentage of people 18 to 34 who still live with their parents by state. So my question is, what do you think is number one on this list? What percentage live with their parents in the state that has the highest percentage? What percentage?
So I'm going to throw out here strictly based on the fact that it seems to have the highest cost of living. And I'm going to go with California.
Okay. And
as the state. And I'm going to say, what's the age range again?
18 to 34-year-olds.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say 35%.
You know, that's probably what I would have thought, but the answer is 47%.
Get out.
So in this state, almost half of 18 to 34-year-olds still live with their parent.
Well, that's a weird age group, right? I mean, 18, you're still, a lot of people who are going to college are still in college.
Okay, but how about 30?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so you might say that this is a state that may have more people who go to college. I think that's fair. All right, now guess the state. You guess California? Nope.
I guess California.
Nope.
Yeah.
Guess again.
I'll say New York.
Nope. Getting closer, though.
One more.
Matthew
Matthew
Gotthold from the Pine Barrens.
Okay, I'll bite. New Jersey.
It's New Jersey. All these little kids are still living with their mommies and daddies in New Jersey. And as a Long Islander, I love making
Jersey's
fun
tough, man.
of Jersey.
You like the security that your parents provide you.
Maybe they're getting breastfed till like 18, 19. One of those.
You think I have all these scars on my knuckles because I was playing tiddlywinks? Come on, man.
Attachment parenting. Okay, another thing we haven't talked about, but I think it's something that we really need to talk about because we're all about Philly, where we're so Philly it hurts.
Yeah,
is the new mascot for the Flyers. I'm obsessed with him. Who is he? Gritty. Oh, if you don't know Gritty, you need to Google Gritty. He's the star of SNL, the star of every late night show, and he's a genius. And do you know who he was created by?
He was created by, let me see here, Dave. I think the guy's first name is Dave. His last name is he's Raymond. Dave Raymond.
Exactly.
Son of Tubby Raymond, long-term, long-respected, iconic figure in Delaware University of Delaware football, a coach for many, many years.
And he was one of the original Philly Fanatics. I'm not sure if he
Dave Raymond?
invented it
Yes.
and has his own company.
Yes.
So he came up with Gritty, and I hope he has a percentage of sales of Gritty.
Golly.
Because I tried to get it for my adult son, and it's like, you can't get a plush toy anymore. I got a shirt, but
Yikes.
I'm all about Gritty.
Well, initially when I saw it, I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this is just god-awful. And then I saw some, just because this thing looks like it's, like the love child of Animal on Sesame Street, and who's Elmo's sister, Chloe or whatever. Oh, just like horrific. And I saw some quotes on some, and I'm not a social media guy, but somehow Gritty came across something I was reading, and people were comparing it to, so this is how a stuffed animal looks after it's witnessed its parents murdered. I mean, it's just awful.
And some of you don't know us. If you go on our website, podcastpediatricians.com, there is a picture of us. And then look at Matt, and then bring up a picture of Gritty. It's like they were brothers.
Look, Dave Raymond, I want my royalties.
They're going to be starring in the remake of Dumb and Dumber 2.
Did you ever? When I used to read my kids Where the Wild Things Are, and they get to the part where it says, and roll their terrible eyes, I would roll my eyes. And that's what Gritty reminds me of.
Love Gritty. We just love Gritty. I love, maybe he can sponsor us. I do love Gritty. Okay, here's another one. In Sweden, they opened up a temporary museum called the Disgusting Food Museum. And in the Disgusting Food Museum, which highlights Swedish and American foods and foods from around the world, there's 80 different food items, including a bull penis, including frog smoothies from Peru. Wouldn't that be great to take your kid and say, this is a green...
Yummy. The original green smoothie.
Here's a Kermit the Frog smoothie with a real Kermit. There's also wine made from baby mice that is consumed in China as a delicacy. Ooh. And also in Korea. And there's also the Sweden...
I wonder what kind of glass you would use for baby mice wine. This is supposed to be the big one for red and thinner for,
How about a Mickey Mouse glass?
Could be. Yeah, right.
Then there's also the Sweden's Surströmming, which is infamously putrid fermented herring. I think Iceland is something like that too.
Yeah.
And also, which I've heard of before, is balut, which is a partially developed duck fetus that's boiled inside the egg and eaten straight from the shell in the Philippines. And I had one in my hand with my son when I was in the Philippines, and I was about to eat it because we saw it in Survivor, and I couldn't. I was like, I can't do it. So I chickened out.
I'll eat almost anything on a dare, but that really sounds disgusting.
And there's also the delicious Keizu Marzu, which is a Sardinian pecorino cheese infested by maggots. Now, a lot of you out there love your cheeses and put a little maggot cheese on your charcuterie and go to town for Christmas. There's also items, though, this is what interests me the most, is items in this museum that many Western visitors might not consider disgusting, but Swedish visitors do consider disgusting. And that starts with Jell-O, which is made of gelatin and typically fruit, which they find disgusting. Also, canned pork brains with milk gravy. I don't know who's eating those.
That reminds me, I have to stop at the supermarket on the way home.
But here's one, root beer. To people from Sweden, root beer tastes like toothpaste, and they can't understand why anybody would ever eat root beer. So if you want to go to this museum, it's only open until January 27th in Malmo, Sweden. So get your tickets now, because before you know it'll be gone.
What's the most disgusting thing you've eaten in the last 6 months?
Disgusting thing I've eaten.
I bring this up just because I want to talk about the most disgusting thing that I've eaten
what is
in
it?
The last 6 months. So I, as you know, my palate is pretty broad, right? I'll eat almost anything.
Those pork.
Yeah.
What did we have last night at the poker game?
we had pork tenderloin, and then we made a sandwich out of pork tenderloin, sharp provolone, and broccoli rabe. And that was our poker party. And so despite popular lore, we don't eat bacon sandwiches at our poker parties.
It was so good. I was one of the big winners. And what did I do last night?
It was almost unheard of.
It was epic.
Go ahead.
Epic. I drew a natural, no wild card, royal straight flush of clubs.
And in our high-stakes poker game, what exactly did that win you, Rob?
$1.
Nice.
$1, but still. It was
and the pot was full.
That will never happen again. But
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
So, so what food?
So I must admit that every once in a while, on my way home from work, because it's a 45-minute drive, I will treat myself to what is really a very unhealthy snack, and I'll go get some Cheetos, right? Those little fried ones,
right?
Which I think I mostly enjoy the crunch. But anyway, my usual gas station where I fill up, as I wandered in there, did not have the routine Cheetos, but they did have the Cheetos Flaming Hots. It wasn't it's not that it was unenjoyable. It was painful and unenjoyable. It didn't even taste like there was no happiness to be found there at all, except for when I crumpled up the bag and threw it in the trash.
Okay.
After I'd only had half of them, which again is an unusual thing.
So you didn't bring them home and say to your son, hey, why don't you try one of these?
I like my son.
Pretty
Rob.
good.
I like my son. I don't get him gritty T-shirts.
All right, here's an item that's a little more serious, but building on things we've talked about in the past, that they did recently ban e-cigarette sales that are flavored in stores, but they didn't ban them online, and that's where the teenagers get them. So it's still ridiculous, and they are going to probably ban menthol flavors for regular cigarettes, but people are in arms about that.
Well, I got it on good advice or good information from a teenager in my practice that Juul packs are now going for $15 a pack at local high schools.
And that's what they cost at Wawa, so they're not even marking them up. The pods.
That's because they're just giving you a taste. Then they'll mark them up.
Right. Okay, here's an item recently, the study from the CDC. The fastest growing form of exercise for U.S. kids and adults, that for both of them in the United States, is yoga.
Tai Chi.
No, that was close. Tai Chi was good. It's yoga and meditation. In 2017, 35 million adults were doing their downward-facing dogs in the past 12 months. But when you looked at kids, back in 2012, only 3.1% were doing yoga. Now, in 2017, the last year they looked, it's up to 8.4%. And about 5.4% are doing meditation regularly. So a lot of kids are doing yoga and meditation.
I'm way behind kids learning how to, and I'm not even sure calling it meditation is the right term because that kind of scares some people off. But, Rob, they found you.
I'm on call. I'm hiding.
You'll never get me, copper.
That's loud. We're high atop
Cesar
Rodney
Square.
And the police are coming. So, have you done yoga, Matt?
Just a little bit. I mean, when I do my morning stretching stuff, I do downward dog and a couple other things. The child form.
Let me just say, I never want to see that.
Let me just say, no, you don't.
So I did yoga last week for the first time,
and
kind of a semi-private yoga lesson. It was great. It was a workout.
Oh, it is.
I've had a couple back surgeries, so I think if I do it again, I have to skip the stretching part. But it was fun, and it was like the end that you lay in your back. It's kind of a meditation thing. You started to talk about meditation. Meditation can just be mindfulness and breathing.
Absolutely.
And that's what Tai Chi was that I failed at with you.
You mean the 3 lessons that you came to?
Exactly. Another heartbreaking item.
Assure me that your house isn't on fire first. Here on top, Rodney Square.
Another breaking item from CNN is that sucking your baby's pacifier may protect them from allergies. Research has already shown that if you live near livestock, and that's that hygiene hypothesis, and you're dirty, you get less allergies. If you avoid dishwashers, that can decrease allergies. If you're born vaginally and not by C-section, you get exposed to all those bacteria, that can avoid allergies. But the big one that made the news was about sucking your child's pacifier and then putting it back in their mouth. So did you do that, Matt? Did you suck your child's pacifier? Do your children still have pacifiers? They're older now. It's kind of weird, but...
A, I didn't. And B, yes, they are older now.
Okay.
I don't know.
Which led me to, then I read the AP News. There's a whole article about vaginal seeding, and that is that practice where you take a C-section child and you somehow put vaginal bacteria flora on them.
Yes.
So they get a better microbiome, and you're all about the microbiome.
Yes. So this is actually, they're from my knowledge, there's some good research that shows that this does actually confer an advantage to the kids who are born by C-section, because the vaginal fluids do indeed contain innumerable bacteria that are considered to be healthy for a newborn. And what essentially happens is the baby's delivered by C-section, and the mom's vaginal secretions are essentially kind of slathered over the baby.
And the one thing is your process can involve taking a cotton gauze or swab and putting it in vaginal fluids, and then transferring it to the baby and rubbing it over the mouth, the nose, and a lot of the skin. This is mostly in term babies, but there is some people who are doing it on premature babies, and that also is a little scary because, again, the risk of infection. Yeah. And for us, we need to know about that because a lot of families are doing this outside of physician involvement. They hit the child home and they're doing it, and there has been worry about secondary infection.
Have you ever been asked about it?
Never.
I haven't either. Although, I mean, I welcome the question because it really does seem to have some health implications.
Not yet, but you should know about vaginal seeding. Okay, Here's one that I was very happy to see. FAO Schwartz is back in New York City. Did you ever go there in New York City?
I did. Yeah.
It was a thing with my kids when it was down near the plaza near when the new Apple opened.
Yes.
And it was unfortunate as my kids got older, the store hit hard times, as all toy stores did. And so it became a shell of itself. And then it finally closed, and all we had was the Toys R Us in Times Square, which was a real touristy place with a Ferris wheel, and then that closed. So now FAO Schwartz is back near Rockefeller Center. It's more of an experience, less of a toy store. So it sounds like more of a way to get people to just spend money to tour through it. But it's got the iconic stand-up piano like they did in Big. And the
Didn't
big
they have
tower,
a train track that ran
and the train
around
track.
as well?
So if you got a kid and you're going to New York, I think it's a great thing to do.
I did have a patient in the office the other day, and unfortunately, this little boy wasn't feeling well, and I needed to swab his throat, and he was holding his teddy bear, and the teddy bear happened to be an FAO Schwartz teddy bear. I mean, really, a nice classic teddy bear, and I didn't realize that until afterwards when he threw up on it, and I felt compelled to take it out into the hall to wash it off for him, and I said, like, "Oh, this is an FAO Schwartz teddy bear here."
Did you give it back?
Yeah. In a bag.
So, speaking of toys, there's an article about the new holiday trends in toys, and there's a thought that's going to be a shortage of toys now that Toys R Us isn't around. But here's a couple games. One big selling game is called Don't Step in It, where players are blindfolded and have to avoid stepping in soft, clay-like poop. A unicorn version of the game features poop in bright colors, and both have been on the top of Amazon's list of best-selling toys. There's also a popular game called Pimple Pete, where players wiggle or twist out squishy zits from a plastic face, and the losers get squirted with water.
That's just flat out.
So
gross.
remember, podcast pediatricians mentioning Pimple Pete and Don't Step in It. Is that going to be for your kiddos?
Right before we got kicked off the air.
Right. And speaking of going to New York, I have to put a plug for To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway. Do you remember that book?
I do.
Aaron Sorkin, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of obsessed when he did West Wing. Do you like West Wing? Newsroom, yeah.
Sure.
But if you like Aaron Sorkin, and if you like Jeff Daniels, and he got sued by the estate of the author of To Kill a Mockingbird because
Harper Lee,
because he changed some things. But honestly, if you watch it, all the changes are for the better and are for the good. They don't change the things that I think we love about that book and about that movie, but it updates it in a way that gives a voice to the African-American characters in the book that really was spot on. So
Wow.
it
I
just
do
got
like
out
Jeff
of previews,
Daniels.
and if you're going to go to New York and you like plays, that's the one. There's an article plugging ourselves a little bit as private pediatricians. Is a series of articles about how primary care physicians who are in private practice are much happier than ones who are working for hospitals and entities and actually make more money.
Does that surprise you?
You know, it doesn't. It just goes against what people keep saying and hearing, like, oh, private practice is dying.
I find ourselves, as private practice pediatricians, to seem to be much more satisfied with our lot in life than people who work for big institutions.
Right.
I think a lot of it has to do with some degree of independence, some degree of the buck stops here. If something's not going well, then we have no one to blame but ourselves in terms of not taking action on it. And we have a degree, I think, of latitude in terms of how we practice. Nobody's telling me I have to see 30 patients
Absolutely.
a day.
And even though the percentage is decreasing, still about half of primary care is by private practitioners. So we're still, 50%, and hopefully...
Do you like your job?
I do like my job.
I love my job.
I really do. We both love our job.
So this idea that physicians dissuade their children from becoming physicians, I think, may be more specifically queried by what specialty somebody's in.
Right.
And/or what environment they practice in.
Right.
Because I would always encourage somebody to do what you and I do.
I 100% agree. I would say that in most of these circumstances, being in a group practice, being able to talk to your colleagues, being able to share your call, that quality of life part's really
that's
important.
That's invaluable. I love my partners. Yeah.
This made the national news that 1 in 5 childhood scald burns are caused by a popular food.
Coffee?
Instant soup and ramen.
Huh.
1 in 5.
How about that?
Instant soup and ramen. So instant soup and ramen, well, not only are they dangerous for scalding, but they have so much salt.
Yes.
So they're just migraine producers.
Were you ever
not healthy?
Ramen guy?
I was not.
I think I've had one once. I mean, I see the attraction in terms of being cheap and filling
for college kids,
for a college kid or grad students,
right.
et cetera. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people who find themselves in suboptimal, economic situations, that's a staple.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, reaching back to our season 1 when we did a rant about Mylan, and we talked about a competitor to the EpiPen, which is AviQ, and it is made by Calio, and we talked about Calio's Winklevoss-like twin founders, and they talked about, they did kind of overprice things, but they seem to be good guys. Well, 60 Minutes kind of skewered them about how they did kind of an EpiPen Mylan, almost a Martin Shkreli type move of like increasing the price for their Narcan-like device by huge hundreds and hundreds of percent based on nothing about the cost, and how different states, including Delaware, and Tom Carper were on that segment just decrying how awful Big Pharma can be.
Yes.
And they kind of backpedaled. So not as enamored as much with Calio.
Well, I didn't think you were all that enamored. I just think you were enamored compared to Mylan.
Right. It is a nice product,
right.
But they did a lot of the same things. And lastly, a shout out to maybe kindred spirits to us, a group of 4 physicians who have their own personal blog and made national news because they did an experiment with Legos. Did you hear about that?
Maybe. It sounds vaguely familiar.
They thought that it was an important thing that we needed to know is how long it takes for a Lego, if you swallow it, to get pooped out. So all 4 of them swallowed a Lego. And the answer was...
Well, I want to guess.
Okay.
1.5 days.
Ooh, close. 1.71 days.
Ooh.
So now, if you wanted to...
That's not based on personal experience.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So what? And if you wanted to know the answer, what would you have done?
I would have swallowed a Lego, gosh darn it.
I would have had a corn on the cob. I mean, why
corn
swallow
on
a
the
Lego?
cob?
Corn on the cob. And then when you see it again.
It's not the size, shape, or consistency of the Lego.
But you're just trying to see what your transit time is, right?
Well, maybe.
It'll be a little bit faster,
I'm
but
sure some things move faster
corn on the
than
cob.
others.
If you want to know how fast your bowels are moving, have some corn on the cob. And then just wait. Do you like corn on the cob?
It's okay.
Oh, I love corn on the cob.
It depends on the
It's
circumstances.
the only thing I put salt on. I never salt things.
What's your favorite
corn
kind?
on the cob. My favorite time, corn on the cob?
Silver Queen from Jersey, South Jersey.
Oh.
Yeah, that's...
I didn't know it was called Silver Queen. They have names for corn in Jersey?
Oh, gosh,
I did not know that. But
There's not a lot going on in Jersey, so we name vegetables.
I love Jersey corn. Well, especially that almost 50% of 18 to 34-year-olds in Jersey who are living with their parents,
I'll bet you they would know it's called Silver Queen.
To their corn. All right, any last statements?
No, just
Merry Christmas.
Best wishes.
To everybody out there.
Joyful holidays to everybody.
Healthy, happy.
I every Friday in my office, at our office in the South, I try to pose a question that surrounds music, because they all know that I like my music. And so this most recent week it was, what is your favorite holiday song?
Oh, can I answer?
Yes, that's why I'm asking.
So obviously I celebrate Hanukkah. The only Hanukkah song that's decent is Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song. And I heard that there's a new version that updates it, but I haven't heard it yet. So I'm gonna make it my business to do that. But for Christmas songs,
for Christmas songs,
and I actually have a doll that does it. I mean, my all-time favorite, because of the beauty of it and just the season, is "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer."
That's right. I think you mentioned this.
Yeah, I did. I love that song. My second favorite is from the Charlie Brown cartoons, and it's the Christmas time.
Oh yes,
is here.
yes.
Christmas time is here. And when I want to annoy my nurses, I just family time. Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so I think I mentioned some beautiful songs that get me into the holiday spirit. The last one maybe is the dog version of Jingle Bells. Ruff, ruff, ruff. Gotta love that. Okay, how about you, Maddie?
How can I top that, Rob?
I don't think you can.
I was going to say I'm much more of a traditionalist. Yeah,
more traditional than grandma.
And being Catholic, I there's this forever impending Sith of guilt hanging over my head, and so my personal favorite is "Oh Holy Night," especially the part when it goes, "Fall on your knees." Right?
If only we had video to see Matt putting his hands to the heavens as he sings.
Indeed. So, no, I've just always found that very moving and emotional.
Have you followed the controversy about "Baby, It's Cold Outside"?
Yes, I have.
So, and it made the New York Times front page. So what do you think?
I see that song as much less sinister than maybe it's being interpreted. I can understand somebody taking affront to it. I can't understand it necessarily being banned from a venue or media.
I think some people have performed it and the way they performed it almost seemed like a Me Too type thing, like a rapey thing. But there was a really nice article from a Yale psychologist and a historian who basically, when you look at the lyrics, and I think it was written in 1942, and about this girl saying, "My parents will be upset." It's actually kind of a feminist song, in her opinion, really a feminist song about this woman saying, like, why do I have to do what convention says? She talks about maybe having a cigarette and basically he wants her to stay, but there's nothing about her not wanting to stay. There's nothing in the song that he's saying that she can't leave.
Yeah.
So I really think that in this case, there's absolutely no problem if it's done the right way with this song.
I mean, particularly in the sense that there are so many things that were written, recorded, recognized as being entertainment over the last 200 years in this country that are indeed offensive. That are on so many levels, whether it be, misogyny or racism or any of those types of things that can really be called out. And, it feels to me like somebody's just kind of like stretching the definition of poor taste to an extreme here.
I totally agree. So that's it for this rambling.
Merry Christmas, Happy
holiday.
Hanukkah, Happy New Year,
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah. We've got plenty of goodies in the podcast bullpen for you guys for the year of 2019. All kinds of fascinating things we're going to touch on. Fascinating, controversial, meaningful, all the things that we like. Maybe, hopefully, a little funny. We'll see.
And one last plug for Campus Quilts since the holidays are here.
Yes.
And if you go to campusquilt.com and mention Podcast Pediatricians, you get $30 off or 30% off. You ask them, whatever that is. Yeah. And you'll love it. And Matt, did you get yours?
Oh, I got it.
We haven't even talked about it.
So my daughter, who has just recently graduated from college last year, and she was very involved with athletics, we got her a full-size quilt. Actually, I think it's a queen-size quilt of her T-shirts that she had used all the way through her field hockey career. So all the way from grade school up through college, and she was enamored. It was a surprise for her birthday.
Nice.
And boy, what beautiful work these people do. I mean, it was just flawless. We really, really enjoyed it. So thank you, Campus Quilts. And as Rob mentioned, please consider ordering one for yourselves or for your children. And they do absolutely stunning work.
You'll love it. And I guess we have to say that likely the Eagles will not be in the Super Bowl this year. I think Carson Wentz has spondylolysis, which we talked about, and no one's mentioning that word, spondylolysis.
It makes sense, though.
Everything he says probably always had it, and hopefully it won't derail his career. But let's see what Nicky Foles can do for the last few games. Nicky,
go get him.
MVP. Good night, Maddie.
Good night, Robbie.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for me and Grandpa, we believe. She'd been drinking too much eggnog, and we begged her not to go.
Podcast Pediatricians Productions. All rights reserved.